A scorching sun beat down on the gravel lot. The crude laughter of men echoed as a young Alaskan Malamute puppy was shoved into a pack of vicious dogs. It was a nightmare vision. The puppy made no sound, enduring the pain in silent stoicism. He whimpered, searching for an escape, but was hemmed in by a wall of work boots and legs. Though still tiny, the puppy braced himself on 4 legs, his amber eyes fixed directly on his tormentors. There was no terror in that gaze, only a startling spirit of unbreakable will. Suddenly, a loud, piercing horn cut through the chaos. Art Vance, CEO of Vance Civil Engineering, returning from an inspection of the new hydroelectric site, gasped at the sight before him. His eyes widened, fixing on each man's face in turn. The lot fell instantly silent. Frank Miller, the foreman, managed a stiff smile and took a step forward. The other 3 workers, Mike, Tony, and Luis, backed away, leaving the exhausted puppy collapsed in the circle they had created. What in God's name is going on here? Art's voice was low, yet it resonated across the lot like a thunderclap. The puppy lay on the dusty ground, licking the blood from a cut on his paw. He blinked slowly in the harsh desert sunlight, shivering not just from fear but from exhaustion. Yet, he maintained a strange, inherent dignity. Just a stray, Mr. Vance, Miller stammered, attempting to explain. Been scavenging in the dumpsters and making a mess. And your solution was to throw him to a pack of vicious dogs to be torn apart? Art asked, slowly approaching the small animal, deliberately removing his hard hat and tucking it under his arm. The scar on his face, a relic of an old worksite accident years ago, seemed to etch deeper as he frowned. No one answered. The larger dogs, which moments before had been following the men's orders to snarl at the puppy, now sensed the sudden shift in atmosphere and backed off. Art leaned down. The puppy flinched, expecting another blow, but the man simply held out his hand, freezing it in midair. Alaskan Malamute, Art murmured. A working dog, purebred. See, told Ya. Mike nudged Tony, knew he was a pedigree mutt. Tony just grunted in response. Art reached into his pocket for a handkerchief and gently attempted to touch the puppy. The little dog recoiled and dragged himself backward, but made no sound of distress, only a deep wariness in his eyes. Miller, my office, now, Art commanded, not taking his eyes off the puppy. The rest of you, get back to work. The men dispersed quickly, relieved to escape the immediate fury but uneasy about what was to come. Everyone knew the character of Art Vance, CEO of the region's largest construction firm, high-powered, but intensely demanding. Alone with the puppy, Art tried again, softening his voice. It was a tone he hadn't used in years, not since his son moved away to the city. Easy there, kid, I won't hurt you. The Malamute was still trembling, but his eyes met Art's with that same strange, intense strength. In that gaze was not just fear, but a query, a deep search, as if trying to comprehend how humans could be so cruel. In slow motion, Art retrieved his canteen, poured some water into his palm, and offered it to the puppy. After a moment of hesitation, the puppy began to lap at the water cautiously, yet desperately. You're safe now. Art felt a lump in his throat. The puppy kept drinking, never breaking eye contact with Art, as if fearing the cool water might suddenly transform into another form of torture. Art removed his flannel shirt and carefully wrapped the puppy in it. This time, the Malamute did not resist, perhaps from pure exhaustion, or perhaps sensing an honesty in this man's eyes that was absent in the others. Holding the puppy gently in his arms, Art walked toward his pickup truck. Dozens of workers at the new hydropower plant construction site near the river's edge were busy. But everyone pretended not to notice the strange sight, the CEO holding a bloodied puppy like a fragile treasure. Inside the air-conditioned truck, Art gently placed the puppy on the passenger seat. The puppy's light gray fur, caked with dirt and blood, was a jarring contrast to the dark leather seat. We'll get you fixed up, he promised, starting the engine. The heavy-duty truck sped down the unpaved road connecting the site to the small town of Summit Creek. The AC was on maximum, not only to combat the desert heat but to ease Art's suspicion that the puppy might be feverish. Hang in there, little guy, He glanced occasionally at the small, shivering life beside him. The phone rang. It was Sarah Jenkins, his executive assistant, calling from the corporate office. "Mr. Vance, the engineer from the utility company is here for the meeting. She says she can't wait long." "She'll have to wait, Sarah. It's an emergency." "But sir, this meeting on the environmental permits is critical." "I know. Tell her I'll be there in an hour. Get her a coffee, a bottle of water, anything she wants." He hung up without waiting for a reply. The puppy gave a small, choked whimper. The stifled sound twisted Art's heart. Dr. Anya Sharma's animal clinic was the only one within a 60-mile radius, a simple house painted a pale green, with a discreet sign reading, "Sharma Veterinary Clinic." Art pulled up, grabbed the puppy, and walked inside without knocking. "I need help," he called out. A middle-aged woman in a worn white coat looked up from her clipboard. Dr. Sharma was clearly surprised to see Art Vance, the notoriously tough businessman, holding a bloody puppy so protectively. "What happened?" "Some of my men," Art said, gently placing the puppy on the examination table, "thought it was fun to abuse a helpless animal." Dr. Sharma asked no more questions. Her experienced eyes were already examining the Malamute, her hands gently probing wounds and swelling. "About 3 weeks old, I'd say," she diagnosed. "He's dehydrated and has multiple abrasions. But I'm most worried about this leg. Could be a fracture." Art clenched his jaw. "Doctor, do whatever is necessary. Cost is not an issue." "I understand, but," she hesitated, looking at the puppy with concern. "He's going to need dedicated follow-up care. This isn't a quick fix." "I know. Are you keeping him?" The question was direct. Art hadn't thought that far. He was 58, a widower for 6 years. His son lived in Phoenix. His life revolved around the company. Up at 5 a.m., asleep late. Meals whenever he remembered. What could a life like that offer a puppy? The puppy opened his eyes, as if sensing his fate was being decided, and stared straight at Art. It was that intense, searching gaze again, the look of a creature trying to understand the world. "Yes, I'll keep him," Art finally answered. "I have no idea what I'm doing, though." Dr. Sharma smiled for the first time. "Then let's start. He needs fluids and antibiotics first. Then we'll X-ray the leg." Art nodded and gently stroked the puppy's head before stepping into the waiting room. "Be strong, little guy." While he waited, Art called Miller. "Everything all right there?" "Yes, sir." Miller's voice was tight. "Everyone's back to work." "The other 3, Mike, Tony, and Luis?" "Fired. Effective immediately." "But Mr. Vance," Miller sounded shocked, "we're under a deadline. Tony is one of our best welders." "I don't care. Men who torture animals don't work for my company. And Miller, don't forget you're on thin ice too." "But sir, I didn't." "Exactly. You did nothing. That's the problem." He hung up, staring at a poster about pet vaccinations on the wall. The phone rang again. He ignored it, assuming it was Sarah following up on the utility company meeting. Almost an hour later, Dr. Sharma emerged from the back room. "How is he?" Art immediately stood up. "No fracture, thankfully. It's a severe sprain, but it will heal." He was very lucky. The dehydration is addressed, and the lacerations have been cleaned and stitched. But he is severely malnourished. He's been neglected for days, maybe weeks. Art felt the anger surge again. Who could abandon a puppy like this? "Unfortunately, it happens more often than you think," Dr. Sharma replied sadly. "Especially with purebreds. People get them because they're beautiful, then abandon them when the commitment becomes too much." "He's going to be okay, though?" "Yes, he's young, and he has a strong spirit. But he needs round-the-clock care for the next few days. Special food, medication, and rest." "Doctor," Art paused. "I truly know nothing about taking care of a dog. What do I do?" Dr. Sharma was touched by the sincerity of the man known for his corporate ruthlessness. "We'll work through it, Mr. Vance. First, he's staying here overnight for observation. If all goes well tomorrow, you can take him home. In the meantime, I'll make a list of everything you need." That night was the longest Art had known. after making the unprecedented decision to postpone the utility company meeting until the next day. He spent hours online researching Malamute puppy care. When he finally slept, he dreamt of the puppy, whose eyes held the depth of ancient wisdom and a profound question about human nature. He woke up at 4:30 a.m., before his alarm. The puppy was the first thing on his mind. He quickly dressed, breaking decades of habit by driving straight past his office and heading to Dr. Sharma's clinic. He knew it wouldn't open until 8 a.m., but he parked outside the quiet building and waited. Watching the sky change from deep black to navy blue, he thought of Eleanor, his late wife. She always wanted a dog, but his hectic life building the company never allowed it. "You would have loved this one," he whispered into the empty air. At 7:15, he saw Dr. Sharma arrive on her bike. She looked surprised to see him. "Mr. Vance, how long have you been here?" "A while," he answered faintly. "How is he?" She smiled. "He had a calm night. Come in and see." Inside, in a back examination room, the puppy lay on a small cot covered with a clean blanket. Seeing Art, he attempted to stand, but his bandaged paw restricted the movement. "Stay put, kid," Art approached slowly. This time, the puppy didn't back away. Instead, his distinctive, fluffy tail gave a faint, tentative wag, a tiny sign of recognition. "He remembers you," Dr. Sharma said. "That's how dogs are. They know who rescued them." Art did something he hadn't done in decades. He sat on the floor, allowing the puppy to sniff his hand. After a moment of observation, the Malamute tentatively licked his index finger. It was not an explosion of joy, but a restrained acceptance, a beginning of trust. He took his morning medication and ate a little bit of the special puppy food. The vet explained, "His fever is down. Good signs. Can I take him home now?" Dr. Sharma examined the puppy one last time. "I think so, but he needs constant attention. Did you get the list I gave you? I had my staff arrange everything. It should be delivered to my house by now." "That's good. And have you thought of a name?" Art looked into the puppy's eyes. "Zeus," he stated simply. "I'll call him Zeus." "Zeus?" Dr. Sharma sounded surprised. "Why?" "That look. He has a king's bearing. Something ancient and dignified." Art felt a little embarrassed saying it. "It's not ridiculous at all," Dr. Sharma countered. "Zeus is a great name. King of the gods, bringer of justice. It fits him perfectly." Zeus cocked his head slightly, as if he understood he was the subject of the conversation. 30 minutes later, armed with instructions for nutrition, medication, and care for the injured paw, Art left the clinic, Zeus wrapped in a clean blanket in his arms. "Come back for a checkup in 3 days," Dr. Sharma reminded him, "and call me immediately if there are any issues." "Thank you, Doctor, truly." In the pickup truck, Art carefully placed Zeus on the passenger seat. The puppy seemed more alert today, his eyes tracking the man's every movement with intense curiosity. "It's just you and me now, partner." The phone rang. "Sarah again. Mr. Vance, the utility company engineer is back for the meeting." And 3 calls from the corporate office in Phoenix. Art looked at Zeus. The puppy seemed to study him with his deep eyes. "Sarah, I'll be working from home today." Silence on the other end. "Sir, you have never worked from home." "I am today. Postpone all in-person meetings. Have the IT department set up video conferences for the rest." "But sir, Sarah, I have a personal favor to ask. Look up Alaskan Malamute training tips and see if you can find a local pet sitter in the area. For when I absolutely have to be on site." The silence this time was longer. "A pet sitter, sir?" "Yes." He hung up before she could ask anything else. Zeus watched him with a look that seemed to say, "See? Never seen a man change his priorities before?" Art's house was too big for a single man. He had built it when he and Eleanor dreamed of a large family. But now his lonely footsteps echoed in the empty rooms. Today, though, for the first time in a long time, the house felt like it had a new purpose. At the front door, Mr. Henderson, his house manager, waited with several bags from the pet store. "Good morning, sir," he greeted, looking curiously at the bundle in Art's arms. "The store delivered everything you requested, special puppy food, A bed, toys, medication. Thanks, Henderson. Put it all inside, in the living room. Henderson hesitated. The living room, sir? Wouldn't the yard be better for the little fellow? Art looked down at Zeus, who was quiet in his arms. No, Henderson. He stays inside, with me. The house manager, though surprised, nodded and began carrying the bags. Art followed, looking around his house with new eyes, assessing it from a puppy's perspective. We need a few adjustments, he murmured to himself. In the spacious living room, he gently placed Zeus on the sofa while checking the supplies he'd bought. The bed was comfortable, the toys colorful and safe. The food was top of the line. Zeus tried to stand on the sofa but was still hampered by his injured leg. Easy, kid, you need to rest. But the puppy looked restless, peering around as if searching for something. What is it, Zeus? Art asked. Then Art understood. He quickly carried the puppy out to the yard, where Zeus, struggling slightly on his bad leg, relieved himself. Right, we have a lot to learn about each other, don't we? Art was genuinely impressed by the puppy's intelligence and clean nature. Days turned into weeks, and Art's routine completely transformed. Now, his alarm clock was replaced by a wet nose nudging him awake. His conference calls were interrupted by a low, warning bark at perceived intruders. And for the first time in years, he came home feeling not exhausted, but expectant. Zeus grew with surprising speed. His paw healed completely, and his thick, smooth, clean coat reflected his health and nobility. But most striking were still his eyes, the eyes that had captured Art's heart on day one, now seeming to understand every word and gesture from his owner. One Saturday morning, a month after the rescue, Art was having coffee on his front porch, with Zeus watching nearby. When his phone rang, it was Frank Miller, the foreman. Sir, we have a problem at the North Dam. What is it? One of the sluice gates is malfunctioning. The maintenance team tried to fix it, but we need to decide if we should replace the part or attempt further repairs. Art sighed. It had been a long time since he could remember a weekend he wasn't working. I'm on my way. I'll be there in an hour. He hung up and looked at Zeus, who had stood up, as if understanding the conversation. Sorry, buddy, I have to go. Zeus cocked his head, his gaze sometimes so human it baffled Art. Stay with Henderson, I'll be back soon. On the drive to the site, Art thought about how much Zeus had changed his life. The old Art would have spent his Saturday working without hesitation. Now, he felt a twinge of guilt leaving the dog, even for a few hours. At the site, the situation was more complex than Miller had described. The sluice gate wasn't just malfunctioning, it was in real danger of collapsing if not properly fixed. Do we need to evacuate the area below the dam? Art asked anxiously. Not yet, sir, the lead engineer replied, but if we don't resolve this in the next 24 hours. 3 hours passed in discussions of technical options, costs, and deadlines. Finally, they made the expensive, time-consuming, but necessary decision to completely replace the gate. Start work immediately, Art ordered. Mobilize the emergency response team. As they organized the work, Art's phone rang. It was Henderson. Mr. Vance. His voice was frantic. Zeus is gone. Art's heart plummeted. Gone? What do you mean? He was in the yard while I was pruning the hedges. And when I looked away, he was gone. I've looked everywhere nearby. He must have jumped the fence. Art thought out loud. Henderson, call the neighbors. Ask for help. I'm coming back right now. He hung up and gripped Miller's shoulder. I have to go, now. But sir, the work. It's yours. Execute it exactly as we agreed. Art didn't wait for an answer. Running to his pickup. On the drive back, his heart hammered. Zeus was still a puppy. Barely 4 months old. Alone outside. He could be hit by a car. Attacked by other animals. Or worse, found by the kind of humans who had abused him before. When he arrived home, Henderson and 3 neighbors were already searching. Any sign? Nothing, Mr. Vance. We've searched the whole neighborhood. Art felt a constriction in his chest, a feeling he hadn't experienced since losing Eleanor. Keep looking. I'll take the truck and check further out. For hours, Art drove the roads of Summit Creek, shouting Zeus's name. He stopped at every corner, asked everyone he met, and checked every alley, but with no success. As the sun began to set, his phone rang, an unfamiliar number. "Hello? Mr. Vance?" A familiar woman's voice. "Yes, who is this?" "It's Dr. Sharma. I think I found Zeus." "Oh, thank God. Is he all right? Where is he?" "He's fine. And, well, I think you need to come see for yourself. I'm at the clinic." Unable to process the hesitation in the vet's voice, Art rushed to the clinic. He found the door open and Dr. Sharma waiting with a strange smile. "What happened? Where is Zeus?" "He's in the back," she replied, leading him to the room where Zeus had first been treated. "But he's not alone." When Art entered the room, the sight before him left him speechless. Zeus was lying on the floor, and snuggled against his body were 3 tiny kittens, so young their eyes were barely open. "What in the world is this?" "A woman found them a few blocks away," Dr. Sharma explained. "Someone had abandoned them in a box, and Zeus was trying to guard them," she said when she approached. He barked, not aggressively, but as if asking for help. Art slowly knelt. Zeus raised his head, his eyes meeting his owner's, as if to say, "I couldn't leave them." She said he wouldn't let anyone touch them. Dr. Sharma continued, "She called me, and when I described Zeus's features, she confirmed it was him. I went and picked them all up and brought them here." Zeus's tail gave a slight wag when he saw Art, but he didn't move from his protective position beside the kittens. "He understands," Art said, deeply moved. "He knows what it's like to be abandoned and abused. He couldn't let the same thing happen to other creatures." Dr. Sharma nodded. "It's remarkable, for a breed like an Alaskan Malamute, with strong hunting and territorial instincts. This behavior is almost unbelievable. He's like a king protecting his most vulnerable subjects." "He is. He's special," Art cut in, sitting on the floor next to the dog. Zeus licked his hand but kept his vigil over the kittens. "So, what now?" Dr. Sharma asked. "These kittens need specialized care. They're too young to be away from their mother." Art looked at Zeus, then at the 3 tiny kittens. He knew there was only one choice. "They're all coming home with us," he said simply. "All of them." Art Vance's new routine was something no one who had known him for the past 2 decades would believe. His once quiet, pristine home was now filled with life, scattered toys, and the occasional small accident on the living room carpet. Zeus had fully embraced his role as guardian of the 3 kittens, whom Art named T, Ko, Ni, and Na. The dog licked them clean, slept curled around them protectively, and even used gentle nose nudges to discipline them when they got too rambunctious. It was a silent, dignified master teaching, guiding, and guarding his charges. "I've never seen anything like it," said Dr. Sharma, who visited frequently to monitor the kittens' growth. "He's like a strict, yet loving father." Art watched it all with a mixture of awe and introspection. "He teaches me something new every day." But all was not peaceful. Art's construction company, the largest in the region, was having problems with the hydropower plant's progress. His weekend absences and early departures were starting to affect the job. 3 months after Zeus's rescue, Art was summoned to an emergency board meeting at the corporate headquarters in Phoenix on a Monday. "Can't it be postponed?" he asked Sarah over the phone. "No, sir. The entire board, including your son, will be there. The topic is project delays." Art sighed at the mention of Ethan, his only son and the company's CFO. They hadn't had a genuine conversation in years, only cold professional exchanges since Ethan blamed his father for his mother's death, claiming the excessive work stress had exacerbated Eleanor's cancer. "Fine. Book a flight for tomorrow morning." He hung up and looked out at the yard, where Zeus watched over his now larger kittens with quiet authority. How could he explain to Ethan that he had changed, that he had finally understood what truly mattered in life, through the eyes of a dog? The next day, he left Zeus and the kittens with Mr. Henderson and his wife, giving them detailed instructions about food, medicine, and playtime. "Don't worry, sir," Mr. Henderson assured him, clearly enjoying his employer's change of heart. "We'll take good care of them." The flight to Phoenix was short, but it felt like forever to Art. He felt a strange sense of alienation upon arriving at the grand headquarters building in the city's financial district. The walls of glass and steel, once symbols of his success, now seemed cold and impersonal. In the boardroom, the entire board waited. Ethan, 30, sat in the empty chair at the end of the table, greeting him with only a nod, the distant, professional mask Art himself used to wear. "Gentlemen, ladies," Art began, taking his seat. "Thank you for coming." "Art," began Harold Jenkins, the longest-serving board member. "Let's get straight to the point. The hydropower project is 2 months behind schedule. Unprecedented for one of your projects." "I'm aware," he replied calmly. "As you know, we had issues with the North Sluice Gate. And it's not just a technical issue. It's a management issue." Ethan cut in, his voice cold. "A leadership issue." Art looked at his son, seeing a reflection of his younger self, dedicated, efficient, and completely consumed by work. "Explain." Ethan slid a stack of papers across the table. "I reviewed the records for the past 3 months. You've cut your site time by 40%. You're leaving early and not working weekends. You're canceling meetings at the last minute. This is a problem. If it jeopardizes a $200 million contract, it is a problem." Ethan's voice rose. "The utility company is already talking about contract penalties. Our investors are concerned." Art took a deep breath. The old Art would have rebutted with the same heat, embracing the confrontation. But something had changed inside him. Zeus had taught him the power of silence and dignity. "The project will be completed," he said quietly. "There may be delays, but they will be within the contract's acceptable range. And if you want to know why I've cut my hours, it's because I finally understood what your mother spent years trying to tell me." Silence fell over the room. It was extremely rare for Eleanor's name to be mentioned in a company meeting. "Let's not conflate personal issues with business," Ethan replied, though there was a hint of restrained emotion in his voice. "Life is personal, son, and I treated mine like a business for far too long." Harold Jenkins cleared his throat awkwardly. "Be that as it may, we need a solution. The board proposes that you delegate the direct site supervision to another engineer and focus on strategic management." "In other words," Art translated, "you want me to work 16 hours a day. Again. We want the company not to incur tens of millions in losses." Ethan corrected. Art looked at each face across the table, men and women with whom he had built an empire, sacrificing their lives, their marriages, and their relationships with their own children. "Ethan," he finally said, "what do you remember about your mother?" The question startled everyone, especially Ethan, whose face looked slapped. "What does that have to do with anything? Answer me, please." Ethan visibly adjusted his tie. "Uncomfortable. I remember her always waiting. Waiting for Dad to come home from a trip. Waiting for Dad to leave the office. Waiting for the day Dad would put her in us first." It was a painful truth. And Art accepted it. "And what is your biggest regret now that she's gone?" A sheen of controlled tears glistened in Ethan's eyes. "That we didn't have more time. More memories." "Exactly." Art opened his briefcase and took out a photograph. Zeus sitting with dignity next to 3 sleeping kittens. "Do you know about my dog?" Ethan looked confused. "What dog?" For the next few minutes, Art told the story of Zeus, the rescue, the decision to keep him, and the kittens. He spoke of how an animal that had only known cruelty at the hands of humans could still show compassion, loyalty, and unwavering dignity. "My point is," he concluded, "this dog taught me more in 3 months than I learned in 60 years of life. There are things more valuable than contracts, deadlines, and profit. They are loyalty, responsibility, and forgiveness." "It's a beautiful story," one board member said, with barely concealed sarcasm, "but it doesn't pay the bills or satisfy the shareholders." "Actually, it does." Art gave a faint smile. "I have a proposal." Art's proposal was radical, a complete restructuring of the company's culture. Reducing all employees' working hours to 8 hours a day without exception. Implementing an animal welfare program in the communities surrounding the construction sites. And, most surprisingly, preparing Ethan to take over as CEO within 1 year. You think reducing working hours will reduce productivity? Art challenged. I found the opposite. Having time to rest, time to live, allows me to return to work more focused, more creative. The meeting lasted for hours, with heated debate on both sides. Ultimately, a full agreement was not reached, but a compromise was. They would pilot the new model for 6 months, closely monitoring the results. After everyone left, Ethan remained in the room with his father. A dog, he questioned, still processing it all. This whole speech was about one dog? Art smiled. Not just a dog, son, a second chance. For me, and maybe for us. Ethan looked away, his familiar defensive posture from years past. You've always been good with words. Then don't trust my words. Come see for yourself. The offer hung in the air. Finally, Ethan said, when? This weekend. Come meet Zeus and the Kittens. Let's talk not as CEO and CFO, but as father and son. On the flight back to Summit Creek, Art felt a sense of relief despite the corporate storm he had provoked. He had stood up for his new values, not just for the company, but for himself. At home, Zeus greeted him with dignity. No jumping, but the gentle wag of his tail and the rub of his head against Art's leg conveyed all the joy in the world. 3 kittens ran up, now viewing the dog as the center of their world. I missed you, all of you, Art confessed, kneeling to accept the quiet affection. And I have news. We have a guest this weekend. A very important one. Zeus cocked his head, as he did when Art spoke with extra seriousness. Yes, Zeus, my son is coming to visit, and I'm nervous as a teenager. The days flew by. Art asked the site staff to handle any weekend emergencies without him. Something he hadn't done in years. Mr. and Mrs. Henderson helped prepare the house, setting everything in order and making up Ethan's room. On Friday night, as he checked everything was perfect for his son's arrival the next day, Art noticed Zeus sitting in the hallway, watching him. What is it, partner? Are you nervous too? The Malamute, now almost 6 months old, possessed the wisdom of years. His expressive eyes seemed to say, it's going to be okay. Art sat down on the hallway floor. Leaning against the wall, Zeus approached and rested his head on his lap. Zeus, Art said, feeling a catch in his throat as he stroked the dog's soft ears. I'm afraid I'm too late. That my obsession with work has cost me my son forever. Zeus whimpered softly, as if he understood. Then I look at you, caring for these kittens, who aren't even your own kind. How can you still trust and forgive humans after what they did to you? Art paused. If you can do it, maybe I can, too. Maybe it's not too late. Saturday arrived with a clear blue sky. Art woke up early, more nervous than for any business meeting. Ethan was scheduled to arrive around noon. By 11:30, Art was sitting on the front porch with Zeus beside him, watching the road. The kittens played in the yard, occasionally rushing over to make sure their king was still close. They rely on you so much, Art told the dog. They trust you'll always be there. Zeus looked at him, as if to say, and I always will be. Right at noon, a taxi pulled up to the house. Ethan got out, carrying a small suitcase. He was dressed casually. Art took a deep breath and walked to the gate, with Zeus following. The kittens watched the visitor from a safe distance, intrigued. Welcome, son. Ethan hesitated before answering. Hello, Dad. A heavy silence, weighted with years of unsaid words, hung between them. It was Zeus who broke the tension. Instead of jumping, he slowly approached Ethan, observing him with his intelligent eyes. He sniffed his hand, and then, to Art's utter surprise, Zeus sat and solemnly offered his paw. Ethan looked at the dog, astonished. What is he doing? I don't know, Art replied, moved. He's never done that before. It's like a ritual. Ethan knelt and gently grasped the offered paw. Hello, Zeus. Dad's told me a lot about you. In that moment, the dog's dignified act of acknowledgement shattered the initial ice. They went inside, where Mrs. Henderson had prepared a special lunch. During the meal, conversation flowed more easily. Ethan spoke of the company, and Art spoke of Zeus and the kittens. You really fostered these kittens? Ethan asked, watching the tiny animals follow the dog around the house. Yes, and it's amazing to see their interaction. Zeus establishes the hierarchy, guards them, and takes care of them. It's like what a father should do, Art added, looking directly at Ethan. The words hung heavy with meaning. Ethan, I know I failed you and your mother in so many ways. Dad, Ethan interrupted, let's not ruin lunch with that talk. Art respected his son's boundary and nodded. All right, we have plenty of weekend left. After lunch, they went for a walk. Zeus led the way, with the kittens following. This place, Ethan said, looking around, so many memories. Mom loved this garden. She did, Art agreed. I've tried to keep it the way she liked. They stopped at a wooden bench under a large oak tree. It was there that Ethan finally opened up. Dad, when Mom got sick, I swore I'd never be like you. Never put work before family. But look at me now. Single, a workaholic, just like you were. Art felt the weight of his words. It's terrifying how we repeat patterns. Yes, and the most ironic part is that I did it to earn your approval. I scorned your way of life, but ended up living the same way. Art looked at Zeus, who sat watching them a short distance away. It's never too late to change. Son, look at me. It took a dog to teach me. But I finally understood. Ethan gave a faint smile. A dog fostering kittens. There's a lesson in that. That family isn't just blood ties. It's about those you choose to love and protect. The weekend passed quickly. Art and Ethan talked more in those 2 days than they had in the previous 5 years combined. Zeus was always nearby, a quiet, steady presence, as if guarding the peace. On Sunday afternoon, while preparing for a barbecue in the yard, Ethan asked, "What happened to the men who hurt Zeus?" Art flipped the meat on the grill. "I fired them that day. But now I think I might have been too rash." Rash? Ethan looked surprised. After what they did? Don't misunderstand. What they did was unforgivable. But perhaps, instead of just punishing them, I should have tried to educate them. Ethan observed Zeus, who was lying nearby. Some things are hard to forgive. Yes, Art agreed, but if Zeus can choose to forgive, despite his excellent memory, who am I to do any less? When Ethan left on Monday, there was genuine warmth in their hug. "Come back soon," Art requested. "I will, and I'll think about your animal welfare program idea." Zeus watched the taxi until it disappeared. Then he looked at Art, as if asking, "So, what now?" "Now, partner, a new phase begins for all of us." In the following weeks, changes began to take effect. The company's productivity, far from dropping, actually increased. The animal welfare program also started taking shape. One day, 3 months after Ethan's visit, Art was in his office when Sarah came in with a worried look. "Sir, you have a visitor. Mr. Mike says he needs to speak with you." Art felt a tightening in his chest. "Send him in." The man who entered was a shadow of the arrogant worker he remembered. He was thin and worn. "Mr. Vance, thank you for seeing me." "Sit down, Mike. What can I do for you?" "I came to apologize. Not a day goes by that I don't regret what I did to that puppy." Mike spoke of a difficult life and recent illness since leaving the company. "I heard about your animal welfare program. People say you've changed. That one dog changed you. What exactly do you want?" "A second chance," Mike replied, his voice breaking. "And, I want to see the puppy. To apologize, even if he doesn't understand." Art considered the situation. Zeus had taught him about forgiveness. "I have a proposal. Our animal welfare program needs people. The pay isn't great, but it's honest work, and yes, you can see Zeus." Mike's face lit up with hope. "Really? You'd give me that chance?" "One chance, Mike. Don't waste it." That afternoon, Art took Mike to his house. Zeus was in the yard. Seeing Mike, he immediately stiffened, a low, guttural warning growl rumbling in his throat. "Zeus," Art called out softly, "it's okay." The Malamute looked at his owner, then back at Mike, assessing the situation. The kittens sensed the tension and backed up behind Zeus. Mike slowly knelt. Tears streamed down his face. "I'm sorry," he whispered to the dog. "I was a beast to you. I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I truly am sorry." Zeus looked at Art again, as if seeking confirmation. Your choice, partner, Art said. You taught me about forgiveness. Now, it's yours to decide. What happened next astonished everyone. Zeus slowly approached Mike. He sniffed his hand, his face, as if looking deep into his soul. Then, as Art held his breath, he sat in front of the man and solemnly offered his paw, the same gesture he had made to Ethan. Mike, trembling, took the dog's paw. Thank you, he whispered. I promise I will be a man worthy of this second chance. Zeus looked at Art, his gaze containing a wisdom that transcended human understanding, the deep knowledge that forgiveness is not only for those who receive it, but primarily for those who give it. That night, Art sat on the porch with Zeus. You knew all along, didn't you? He said quietly to the dog. That I needed a second chance as much as anyone else. That I needed to learn to forgive others. But especially myself. Zeus rested his head on Art's knee, his expressive eyes gazing out at the horizon.